Welcome back, guys. Here we are for another chess game, and this one's a little bit quick. It's a little bit not as interesting, but it does give at least one positive lesson. Don't ignore threats. If there is a threat that you see, well, hopefully you see it, because I guess if you don't see it, then you're screwed. You need to learn to respond to it immediately. Defense is first in chess, which that might have translated into Pokemon, considering the timing of how all that worked out after high school. But we need to address the attacks that we see, because when they start to go through, things can go quick. So King Pawn, I've been using Karo lately, precipitously. And this time he concedes to do something different, which is another one of the things that I like. I like when they push the pawn. I like when they take the pawn. I don't like when they just leave this ugly-looking thing kind of sitting in the middle of the board. So that works out for me. I get to trade a off-center pawn for a center pawn, and I'm all right with that. It also frees up the square for the knight, so it's like, hey, thanks, man, because this pawn either has designs to take something or push up later anyway. So it just kind of saves me that time and gives me a little bit of an advantage. So I like it. Then he comes down and immediately goes for the bishop. There's two real ways to defend this. You can pop the horse over here, or you can pop the bishop over here. I guess you could put the horse on this square as well, but I don't think it's as strong. In this game I opted with going with the horse, but I think after looking at it now, prior to making this video, I think the bishop is superior, because at that point he's kind of forced just to take it, and then I can take it with my queen, and then he's, it's given me a little bit of a half tempo, if you will. Like, I've moved up one piece, one square, and he hasn't at that point because he threw his piece away. So I think it's slightly better off that way. And if he doesn't take it with his bishop and my bishop is still sitting here, he has to either run it back away, thus losing his time, or he defends it with the horse, I guess. But if you defend it with the horse, he takes, queen puts in check, and I don't care if he blocks that with the bishop, then I just take the horse for free. And if you decide to block with the bishop first down there, then my bishop can just take yours for free as well. So it's one of those, if you go here with your bishop and I block with mine, you're forced to take it, and I think that's an advantage to black. I opted to move the horse variant, thinking that, one, I'm putting pressure on this pawn, so if he ends up never wanting to take and I scare it away and, whatever, then that's fine. I can work that over there. And if he does opt to take it, then I'm once again taking a far out pawn, and I'm getting him closer towards the center, and it gives me a nice potential long pawn chain here for the future as well. So either way, I'm not going to be upset about that. He opts just to take it. I take it right back with my pawn, and it just solidifies that. Plus, I guess the pawn does have a nice opportunity of shutting down the knight's two of the three best squares, now that he's stuck on this spot as well, if he ever moves that guy out there. So I suppose it's still not bad. I don't know which way is technically better, but I think in the future I'll block with the bishop from now on. The only thing is that by doing that, you're negating your defense of this pawn. But again, is he going to attack it with the horse? Because that's exactly what I want. Take his bishop, he takes my bishop, I take his horse, as we saw a minute ago. So he comes down again and wants to pin this pawn over to my queen, so I can't move it up anywhere. I won't be able to get my dark squared bishop out, and I guess I'm blocking my horse coming out as well, unless I want to double up my pawns, which I don't. So he is pinning that for now, so I decide, you know what, I'm just going to free the pin as soon as I can, just get that out of there, and he's moved his defense of this little hanging pawn in the middle, and it gives me a nice attack on this guy as well, which for the moment, if he wants to move his horse out somewhere and connect his two major pieces so that his horse is defended, then I can just respond with also taking the horse with check. So there's a lot of good things I can do going on with this if he doesn't pay attention to it and address it immediately. All he can really do is just push that pawn up or run his bishop all the way back. Either one of them is fine by me, because this kind of gets a little bit ugly. It's not optimal of a pawn structure, and that'll still give me at least a slight advantage later on. And if that's what he does, then fine. I'll bring my bishop out, bring my pawn up, and start to just play chess from there. And from the beginning, when I said you can't just ignore threats completely, well, he tried. So he's starting to bear down with a couple of pieces now on my king, but it's just a pawn, so if he wanted to take with bishop, I take with bishop, and then my king is guarding it from the queen, and I don't care. So there's literally nothing here right now. He needs another piece, maybe a knight to come down, but where are his knights going to go? I mean, here, I guess. It's going to take him 3 turns to get down there. What do you think I'm going to do in 3 turns? Like, I'm going to scare the bishop away. I'm going to just block this square off with mine in the first place so his knight won't even want to make progress, and then just proceed to push my pawn and negate everything. Like, there's way too long. Way too long. Just not going to happen. And he left it open. So because there's no threat here, unlike this, I'm just going to go for it, and I take your piece. To which now it kind of sucks. He's going to lose his rook. I mean, he can't move the knight at that point because now the queen's gone. There's nothing connecting these guys. I'm still going to take the rook. If he pushes the knight down to there, I'm going to take the knight first with check and a fork, and then I'm going to take the rook right after that. I guess he could move the knight. No, that doesn't. Nothing. There's nothing he can do about it now. Like, he has officially lost those pieces. He pushes this pawn one, I guess, because he's thinking, oh, I can attack the queen, but the rook's not defended. So if he goes here to attack the queen, I still just take the rook. But this pawn, I guess, is at least guarded by 2 pieces, so I suppose that's something. I'm not quite sure. Maybe he should have pushed this pawn and make me think, oh, I need to trade queens instead. Oh, I'm panicking. Trade queens. I guess. Just bad. At that point, it's just bad. So I just immediately take my free rook. And now the knight's pinned. That's fantastic. I don't really care. I'm going to start moving pieces now and winning the game. He takes some time to put his queen back, so it ruins the pin for now. But again, if he moves his knight over there, I suppose I could still just trade queens and mess up his castle. And, when he's already down a rook, that's obviously not bad. Or if he moves his knight to here, then I can just take that as well. It's not very good. I'm going to take this turn to solidify this structure and start bringing my dark squared bishop out, since I'm going to have a lot of attacks over in this area with my queen. I'd like an extra bishop out over here too. And by attacking this piece with the bishop, it gives me a chance for my queen to use that as a flight square instead of being blocked off. Because I don't want to run the risk of being blocked in here. Maybe he doesn't move the knight yet, but he moves his bishop over here to defend this square, and then he brings his knight down here. His knight would be guarding this square. Oops, too many lines. His knight would then be guarding a couple of squares. His queen would be attacking mine. His knight would be defended as well. And I guess at that point this pawn is no longer guarded. So it's whatever. It's kind of hard for him at this point. He continues just to make small little queen increments, I guess, to guard that pawn on me. But I'm not too concerned. This honestly was kind of a worthless move. I was thinking, oh yeah, it'll allow me to take it with this, and then I've got my rook bearing down on him, but it just doesn't work out that way. If this horse moves, like I said, queen just takes it, no big deal. If he moves over here, now that the queen has moved away from the king, then I just take his free queen. So the fact that my rook is staring down this line honestly means nothing. It was a waste of a move. I may as well have just pushed my pawn. It doesn't matter. It was stupid, but when you're 13 points ahead, who cares, honestly? So he ends up moving the horse. That's fine. Thanks, goodbye, horse. And he blocks it with the bishop, to which I decide, oh, I'll just take this extra pawn over here now, and I'll just keep eating away pawns, making my queen safe. And now at this point, it's just a matter of how fast can I just checkmate, and that's really all I'm worried about now. It's like, let's just get this over with. So he continues to attack me with his bishop, and I'm just going to pin that to his king for now as well. Just get it out of harm's way. I'm also eyeing this square, so now maybe I can do shenanigans by taking free rooks on the other side, just because that would be insult to injury. That'd be terrible. But he pushes his pawn up to scare my queen away, and I run it all the way to the side, put it back on the flank, and I'll kind of start over with my attacks. Unfortunately, I did block my light squared bishop in before I could use it. I was thinking it'd be more likely to be used in that diagonal instead. So it might take me a couple of turns at this point. I might have slowed myself down, but I wasn't really that concerned. So he moves his king. I'm not quite sure why. I don't really care. I can't say that I know what this guy's thinking at this point. But it does give me a chance to take this pawn now that I looked at a couple turns ago, and then I kind of forgot about it when I was talking about moving between these squares. But that was at least one of the purposes, one of the porpoises of moving my queen back here. So take that pawn, and I don't... What? I don't know what that is. I'm also attacking his queen, obviously, so I have free queen A, or I have free bishop A with check, and I figured that with the way this guy's playing, if I take his bishop, he's just going to move his king somewhere, and then I'm going to take the free queen too. and I didn't want to be too mean, so I just take the bishop with check. I'm trying to be nice. Like, come on, I feel a little bit bad. So we'll see. He'll probably just bring his queen down here, and then maybe I don't trade, and maybe I do. If I do trade, obviously that's still fine. It's not as good as taking a free queen, but the game's over. You know, maybe I just try some other shenanigans, bring the queen back here, and then go after the pawn. You know, maybe I just bring the bishop down, so if he trades, I take and I still have check. I don't really know. Who cares? But I ended up just playing nice and taking the queen trade. I think mostly I just didn't want to think about it anymore. So whatever. And then I get my free queen anyway, because he doesn't take my queen. I don't get it. I mean, even if I brought my rook over, it doesn't matter. I don't know. But we get this nice little symbol on the side now for the computer. So I don't know this, obviously, going in or playing the game and looking at the game, but apparently the computer sees that I have checkmate in 3. So I'll pause the video for a couple of seconds, or you guys can pause the video for a few seconds, see if you can think about it. You know, what would you do? Checkmate in 3 at this point. So if you want to think about that, you can go ahead, take some time to think about that. And I had no idea at this point what the checkmate was. I wasn't looking for it specifically. Obviously, I'm trying to finish the game as fast as possible, but I was more worried about just getting all of my pieces looking in. I can push this pawn to get the bishop open. I can just bring this bishop and attack that dark square and force his king to go into one of these spots. And then at that point, my knight becomes into play, and my pawns even come into play. So I was really just worried about, let's get my pieces back here first, and then I'll checkmate him. My first option was move the bishop back. That way it'll permanently erase him from fleeing over back into the center, or I guess the back center of the board, whatever. He opts to move into the corner. Now we're looking at checkmate in 2. So if that wasn't the move you did, here's another one. Now it's checkmate in 2. I think there might even be a couple ways to do it. I'm not quite sure, but there's only one line that I saw at this point. It became a lot clearer to me. I'm going to bring my queen down, since now this square is locked off from the bishop. He can't run away in that regard. His only runaway square is going to be down to here. And then once he goes there, there's a couple of different options. You can push up with the pawn. Bishop has those squares. Queen has those squares. Pawn is putting him in check, and the pawn is guarded as well. So that's all the squares if you use the pawn. But why would you let a pawn get a checkmate? Why would you let the pawn change his stars and move up in the world? No, it's the knight's purpose to do that. Let the knight take the king, because then the knight is going to get gifted his princess, and he's going to be awesome. He'll get a promotion. He'll move up in the world. Notice I didn't call him horse here, because it's more appropriate this way. Let the knight get the glory, not the pee-wee little pawn here. Have him jump into action after doing nothing all game, and he'll steal all the riches. And that was it. So it's obviously almost a joke of a game. I don't know what this guy was thinking about. But really, it showcases the fact that if there is a threat, you kind of have to respond to it. You can't just let it sit there, because it just snowballs and snowballs, and then you have a rolling boulder of victory just barreling down at you, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. So even if, I mean, his move was just push the pawn up, it negates it. Yeah, it's ugly, it kind of messes it up a little bit, but you have to address the threat. And that's really all that we can take as far as a lesson from this game. I guess, you know, when his bishop came down here, I did learn to think about, you know, which piece I wanted to defend it with, and now I know in the future I'll defend it with the bishop. So I guess I learned that personally. But other than that, guys, yeah, that's really it. So thanks for watching. Take it easy. Catch you later. Peace, guys.